Hello divers, this is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips and techniques video. This is another video in the Not Just Another Video series. In this case, this is not just another weight belt video. What we're going to be talking about today is weighting systems for Backmount twin systems. In technical diving, it is necessary to have sufficient weight in order to 1. Decompress safely, and 2. Achieve proper trim. So how much weight you need to do this depends upon you, what exposure protection you are using, whether you are in salt or fresh water, your backplate, wing, accessories, and tank manufacturer, material, and size. You are less likely to need weight if you naturally sink like a rock, are using a thinner wetsuit or no wetsuit at all, are diving in fresh water, are using a solid stainless steel plate, and are using larger steel tanks. You are more likely to need weight if you naturally float like a cork, are using a dry suit with thick undergarments, are diving in salt water, are using an aluminum, titanium, or plastic backplate, and are using aluminum 80 tanks. Before we begin discussing different types of weight systems, it is first necessary to discuss the concept of the balanced rig. So what this involves is having sufficient weight to decompress safely, but not so much as to have a situation where you are prevented from swimming to the surface in the event of a bladder failure. So this creates a balanced rig problem, particularly in the case where steel bottom gas tanks are used, and they may be sufficiently negative to preclude swimming to the surface. So in order to address this issue, there are many different possibilities. One is to use aluminum tanks. Another one is to use a redundant bladder wing. You could also use a dry suit and also a lift bag. The purpose of this video is not to discuss what possible means that you can address this balanced rig problem with steel tanks, but it's about weight systems. So having made everyone aware of some of the issues involved in technical diving weighting, we're going to proceed with the video. The weight systems that we're going to discuss today include waist belt type systems, shoulder webbing mounted systems, tank mounted systems, keel weights, P weights, and also a weight bar system. Here are 3 examples of weight pouches that might be put on the plate and wing harness waist belt. We have a pocket here that just happens to be from Mares. There are many different companies that make these types of pockets. So when you're looking for a pocket to be put on your waist belt, one of the things you want to look at is that not only is there a Velcro closure system, but there's also actually a mechanical buckle system. So this is one that is put by Mares, made by Mares. This one in the center is made by Dive-Rite, and the reason why I've included a second pouch is that this is a little bit different than the kinds that you would normally see, which are represented by the Mares. And in addition to having the mechanical buckle system, the system on the back here differs from the Mares. On the Mares, you feed the webbing through the 2 straps, and this is different because it has a ability to quick attach by having this Velcro system here. Another thing that differentiates the Dive-Rite from the Mares and those that are similar are the fact that it has a tri-glide here, so that you can actually fix the position of the weight pouch on the waist belt. Another thing associated with this is that you can put the weight pouch either right side up or upside down on your waist belt, and I would only do this if you had a buckle. Some people believe in the ability to rapidly drop their weight, so this accounts for that. If you were to unbuckle it and undo the Velcro, the weight would drop out. So you can put this on right side up or upside down. Same thing with this. Another type of weight pouch is the kind that is so-called quick detachable or releasable. Here's an example of an X-Deep pouch. And again, there are other manufacturers such as IST Diving that have this sort of thing. And in this case, what you need to do is you need to squeeze the buckle, and you have a secondary pouch of this type. One of the things that you may find that you need is a stiffener plate inside the pouch, because sometimes if you're using smaller weights, they can squeeze out somehow out the side. So pouches that are like this have a mounting system where you have the same webbing on the back. Now, the reason why there is a eyelet here is because this type of pouch is expressly designed to fit on the waist belt, but to be able to be fixed in position the same way this is, but this is actually fixed to a specific position on the belt with the Tri-Glide. What happens with this is a bolt is put through here that can be secured to the plate, and what that allows you to do is to have the webbing slide back and forth here, but the weight pouch stays in the same relative position to the plate. So you'll see a lot of weight pouches like this with the eyelet that allows you to use a type of harness system that can slide through the plate. So here are some representative examples of weight pouches that can be installed on the waist belt of the plate harness. So the shoulder webbing weight system would consist of a pocket like this, and again you have the Velcro closure and the mechanical buckle assembly. This is a smaller type weight pouch that is only good for up to about 2 pounds, and that is so that it doesn't have as much bulk as a larger weight pouch might. There are some people that use trim weight pouches like the ones in that section of the video, but this is a smaller one. And I have a loose piece of webbing here just to illustrate how this works. Of course, if you have a one-piece harness, you'd have to unweave your entire harness. But basically, you're going to be sticking this weight pouch through here, fighting me a little bit. And of course, you'd want to go through all of these straps to make sure that it's as secure as possible. You can tell this is going to be a very tight fit. That way it won't slip very far. Okay, so then when you have this secured on the shoulder strap, you can of course position it as you wish, and so you have the weight pouch here, and then you just put your weights in there, your 2-pound weight in there, and you're good to go. So this type of weight pouch, the one on the shoulder strap, is used when a person is typically very foot heavy in their trim. And this will allow them to get a little bit more of a even trim position. This is the tank band approach to putting additional weight into your system, and this is simply a conventional tank cam band and a regular weight stuck on it. So some people utilize this to get additional weight. There are only certain places that this can be put on a tank in a double setup, and that's primarily toward the bottom. I believe you could probably put it in between the two bolts, but there's definitely not room to put this up toward the top of the tank. So you'll see people using these occasionally, and of course if you use this, you would have to probably need to balance your rig by having one on each side. So this is yes, definitely another possibility to adjust your trim and also have sufficient weight to do your decompression stops. This is a typical Keel weight pouch, and the way this works is you would insert weight into the pouch here, and then the pouch would be affixed to your plate. And this can actually be done a couple of different ways. If you do not have too much weight in the pouch, you can actually put it inside on the front of the pouch or on the front of the plate. Or if you have a very large weight like this, which is designed to go in here, then this is going to be, or could potentially be too big for certain types of designs of plates. And so what you could do is you could put this directly on top of the tank bolts and then put the plate on top of that. This is can also be used different ways by putting spacers in the pouch here, which can have some effect on the distribution of your weight. So this can be used to add additional weight and also adjust your trim to a minor effect. The difference between a Keel weight like this and a P weight is many types of P weights only have one fixture for the bolt rather than two. Here's an example of one type of P weight, and P weights can come in many different varieties. This is simply a 1 pound weight with a hole drilled through it, and this would go on either the upper or the lower tank bolt. Some other types of P weight systems have a little pouch like the one that you saw that you'll see in the Keel weight section of the video, and but they're generally limited in size and attach only on one end. They also generally go between the tanks and the plate. So these are used primarily for attempting to correct, besides adding a little bit of weight, attempting to correct trim issues. This is a weight bar that can be used to add additional weight to your system. And this system, in addition to being able to add weight, also has the ability to position the weights very finely where you need to do it. And so the way this is utilized is with the tank horizontal. You would insert this through the two bolts, 11-inch space bolts, and you have the advantage of either putting it this way or by putting it this way, and then of course putting the weights in the little slots, the U-bolt through the different slots here along the bar. So you can get very fine tuning with this. Depending upon what type of tank band you have, you can use weights between 1 pound and 4 pound, 5 pound weights generally seem to be too large. One of the other big advantages of this system versus the P weight system or the Keel system is that this can utilize relatively conventional weights. These are C-Pro weights, for example, and so you do not need to carry weights with you like you would with the P weight system or a Keel weight system. So you get your weights at your destination, and then you use those on the bar in order to get proper weighting and trim. Alright, so next what we're going to talk about are how to install some of these different weight systems onto your banded doubles. So the first one we have here is the tank band system. So you can put the tank cam band directly on the tank with the weight, and you can put it in whatever position you feel more comfortable with. I would probably push this more toward where the plate in the wing would be, to keep the center of gravity closest to the plate. This one, as I discussed before, there are only certain places that you can put these types of weights. So the bottom is very accessible. The middle could be done, but is less accessible. And you just could not do it toward the top there. I'm going to leave that on for now. Obviously, you wouldn't have many of these types of systems used at the same time, but I'm going to leave that on there for now, just for the purposes of instruction. So then next is the small P-type weight, and so this weight has to be narrower enough to be able to go onto the stud in the area between the two tanks. So sometimes what you see P weights that are made out of cast lead that actually fit the curvature of the tanks, so they don't take up too much space. So these are very good for adjusting trim. However, you need to position them to get you in a good trim position. The third one is the weight bar system, and this is configured so that the weight is up toward the top. And so in this case, I'm using 2-pound weights, and so the bar fits in between the two tanks underneath the plate. So for people that are very foot heavy, you can put quite a bit of weight up here at the top, a 4-pound weight, which when it's so far up there creates a lot of leverage. Another way that you could do this, I don't know if I can fit this in here because it fits right in there. I wasn't sure if it would fit in there because of the tank, the cam strap there. But you can also flip it down this way here as well. In case you were very head heavy, you could put that down in there. And I think I mentioned that the limitation as to the size of weight that you would need to do this with is dictated by how much space you have here. So we found out that the excess Scuba Highland bands will actually hold up to 4 pounds, whereas some will hold less. Alright, so here are a couple of examples of installing these types of weight systems on a set of banded doubles. You will note that this is a set of aluminum 80s. I don't know if you can tell for that or not. Generally speaking, if you're going to be diving in salt water with some sort of exposure suit, many people need additional weight with aluminum 80s, whereas they would not necessarily need any additional weight to be able to do safe decompression stops with the set of steel tanks. But with steel tanks, you might not have the desired trim, and so you might use a little bit of additional weight to get into a proper trim position, because you cannot do anything about or cannot do much about the steel tanks. One other thing that I'd like to mention in this clip is that some people attempt to adjust their trim by loosening the bands and moving them down. Generally, you will see them installed up toward the crown. And if you go somewhere and you rent banded doubles, they may or may not allow you to move your tank bands up and down. So it is a good idea to have a standardized band setup, and then use the weights if necessary to help adjust your trim position as necessary. So those are several different ways that you can weight back mount twin systems for both having the sufficient amount of weight to properly decompress and also to achieve proper trim positions. If you have any questions on this video, you can email those to our email address. This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba.